How's it going, my bakers? Hope you're having a great day. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I have a cold-proof ciabatta recipe for you. It's perfect for breakfast. You can bake it while the coffee is brewing, so let's go to the kitchen, check it out. You already know how much I love the cold fermentation method, but usually I stick with cold bulk fermentation, and then I finish the final proof at room temperature on the next day. Cold proofing works the other way around. You do the bulk fermentation at room temperature, then you divide the dough, shape it, and do the final proof in the fridge. The main advantage of this method is that you can bake your bread right from the fridge the next day, which is perfect for your breakfast bakes. And that is why I thought it's time for another ciabatta recipe. And what makes this one even better is that it uses the no-knead method. So all we need to do is mix the dough, give it a few folds, divide it, pop it in the fridge, and then bake it the next morning for breakfast. So let's get right to it and see what we need to do this. We'll need some white bread flour, whole wheat flour, yeast, salt, and water. The ciabatta is an extremely simple bread. There's no need for any fancy ingredients here. The white flour will make it nice and airy, and the whole wheat flour will add some great flavor. Now as for the equipment, we'll need a bowl for mixing, scales, a dough scraper, a temperature probe, and a good solid surface for baking our breads on. Use a heavy metal tray. If you have a baking stone or baking steel, use that. Besides the solid surface, we'll need some parchment paper. This will help with transporting the rolls from the table to the oven. And to pick them up and slide them in, I'm going to use my pizza paddle. You can also use a cookie sheet or an upside down baking tray. Saying all that, no matter which method you use, it's definitely worth baking your ciabattas on a thick, solid preheated surface. It'll make them jump up and puff up. We'll need a clean tea towel for final proofing. In bakeries, they use a cloth called a couche. This kind of cloth is useful for proofing ciabattas, baguettes, rolls, or even larger loaves. Now this next one is not totally necessary, but it does come in handy. A roasting pan like this with high sides will make it easy to fold the dough. Will also ensure that the dough stays in a square shape, which will make the dividing step a lot more consistent. Having a high-sided tin will ensure that the cling film doesn't stick to the dough too much. Last but definitely not least is some kind of steaming equipment. I'm going to use this spray bottle with water, but there are several other things you can use. You can find a full video about that in Principles of Baking playlist. Steam will help our rolls puff up a little bit better and give them a nice crispy crust. No matter which method you use, some steam is better than no steam. Okay, let's begin. Because this dough is a no-knead dough, we're using slightly warmer water than usually. We want to aim for a final dough temperature of around 24 to 25 degrees Celsius, which is 75 to 77 Fahrenheit. So if your kitchen is around 24 degrees Celsius, just use room temperature ingredients. Okay, so in a large bowl, combine the water, yeast, salt, and whole wheat flour. I have realized that a whisk is a great tool for no-knead bread making. It ensures that all the ingredients are dispersed evenly before we add the bulk of the flour. A spatula will still work, of course. Okay, after the initial mix, add the white bread flour, grab your dough scraper and mix this to a dough. Mix it until there's no dry flour left, and then mix a little bit more. You really want to ensure that everything is mixed well. At first, the dough will be super loose and sticky, and at this moment it might not look like it's going to make very good bread. But a little time later and a few folds later, it'll be beautiful. Let's just pop it in a baking tray and quickly take its temperature. It came out slightly cooler than I intended, but 0.2 of a degree is not going to make much of a difference. Now we'll cover it, leave it to rest for 15 minutes and then give it its first fold. Because when we're making no-knead bread, we're replacing kneading with folding. The coil folding method is best suited for a dough like this because it's so loose and stretchy. And it's very simple. Wet your hands with water so they don't stick to the dough. Lift the dough up by the middle, let it hang down and then roll it underneath itself. Once you rolled it a couple of times, turn it and repeat the same step. Once it doesn't stretch no more, we can still make it tighter. Wet your hands again so they don't stick. Pick the dough up, fold its sides down and back up into itself. Just don't make it too tight, otherwise it might tear. While coil folding is a great method, it is quite gentle, so I like to finish the dough using this method. It just ensures that it's super tight from the first fold. Now we can cover it, leave it to rest for another 15 minutes and then give it a second fold. And the second fold is performed exactly the same as the first one. Wet your hands, pick the dough up by the middle, let it hang and then roll it underneath itself. Then turn it and repeat. Finally, pick it up, push the sides down and back up into itself. You can find a detailed video about folding methods in the Steps of Baking playlist. You can find a full guide on the no-knead method in the Principles of Baking playlist. In fact, between those two playlists, you can find pretty much anything you need to know about bread making. And of course, there'll be more in the future. Okay, let's cover this up again, leave it to ferment for 15 more minutes and then give it the last fold. As you may have noticed, I put some water in the dough so the cling film doesn't stick too much. Now when it comes to the third and final fold, I'm not going to pick it up and tighten it like I did earlier. This time I want the dough to keep kind of a square shape. This will help with creating nice square rolls in the end. Now after the final fold, we need to cover the dough and leave it to ferment for 45 minutes. Because after just 15 minutes, the dough would be too tight. We must let it rest before dividing it. And of course it needs to rise a bit more still. And this is puffed up beautifully. Now it's ready to be divided. Now be warned, we are going to use quite a lot of flour here. That's totally normal. Be generous when you dust your dough. Cover the whole surface. To not make a mess on the table, we'll divide the dough in a tray. Give the tray also a good dusting of flour. Now flip the dough upside down and let it fall out on that tray. You can set it down and leave it for a while, or you can shake the tray a bit to help it out. And now you want to dust the other side of the dough with flour as well. And then gently stretch it out to more of a flat square shape. After that you want to grab your dough scraper, trim the edges, and then cut the dough into 4 equal pieces. The final shaping of a ciabatta is unique. Making most other breads would require dividing, pre-shaping, resting and then final shaping. Ciabatta is unique in that it doesn't have a pre-shaping step, and dividing and final shaping is done in one motion. It is probably the simplest way of making individual rolls. Okay, once the dough has been trimmed and divided, we can place it on the couche, ready for the final proof. You want to have the tea towel on the tray. That'll make it easier to move it from the table to the fridge. Make sure there's a nice layer of flour on it. Rub the flour in with your hand so it's nice and even. Then create a crease in the middle of the towel. This will separate the rolls. Now carefully pick up the rolls and place them on the towel. They should be facing the same direction as they are on the tray. During bulk fermentation, the smooth side of the dough is pointing up. When dividing it, we flipped it upside down. We'll flip them once again before baking. What I'm saying is the smooth top surface should be on the bottom before baking. Now take the trimmings and arrange them on the bottom of the rolls. We're not wasting them. Of course you could go for a more rustic look and not trim them at all, just divide the dough into 4. But I decided to make mine nice and square this time. How you make yours is totally up to you. Okay, one last dusting of flour on the bottom. Now we can tuck these bad boys in for a long slumber. First cover them nicely with a tea towel and then cover the tray with some cling film. This will prevent the rolls from drying out too much. Now we can pop them in the fridge for the long cold final proof. It'll take no less than 12 hours. On the next day before you bake, make sure you preheat your oven, 250 degrees Celsius, fan off, and that is 482 degrees Fahrenheit. You can leave these rolls in the fridge for longer if you want. I like to make the dough in the evening, pop it in the fridge, and 12 hours later, in the morning they go in the oven, ready for breakfast. Take your piece of parchment paper and then carefully move the rolls from the couche to the paper. And please, ignore the way I handled the first roll. I guess I expected it to peel off easier. Now here's a much better way. Pick up the towel, place your palm on the roll, then carefully peel it off using your thumb. Let's watch me do it again real quick. Now if these ciabattas had a higher hydration, we could use a tool called a peel, and I have used it in previous videos. This though is not too loose, so you can easily handle it with your hands. So there's no need for a peel here. Okay, we got one last chance to straighten out the edges to make them look nice and neat. And now we can slide these bad boys in the oven. They'll take around 17 minutes to bake. As soon as you place them in the oven, grab your spray bottle and give the oven a good spritz. Or you can use some other steaming method if you don't have a spray bottle. Personally, I think the spray bottle is the most convenient one, and it works well enough. As soon as you close the oven door, turn the temperature down to 230 degrees Celsius, which is 446 degrees Fahrenheit. This is the actual baking temperature. The reason for preheating the oven to a higher temperature is that after opening it up, steaming the chamber, the temperature drops down anyway. So in order to bake at the correct temperature, we need to start higher. And there you have it. That is how you make beautiful little tasty cold-proof ciabattas. You can find more examples of cold-proof rolls in the cold fermented dough playlist. This is the ultimate method for your breakfast bakes. Now all you need to do is go ahead and make yours. You could easily be having this tomorrow morning. I would love to see some pictures of this in our Flickr group. If you didn't know about it, you can find that link down below. So what do you think of this recipe? What's your favorite ciabatta method? Let me know down in the comments. If you want to see more videos like this one, click over here. Subscribe to the channel, click right here. That's all I have for you today. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.